decades, German cars made a good showing on the Chinese market and earned their makers billions. Meanwhile, the world's largest auto market has itself become a major car-producing nation with the help of Volkswagen and Co., putting the Germans' sure path to quick money on rocky ground.
There's definitely elements of dancing on the razor's edge.
Are the once so willing pupils rebelling against their former teachers?
China uses the economic interests of outsiders, of international partners as a weapon.
This shifting landscape will impact German car makers.
The economy in Germany, including the automotive sector, have for many years ignored these facts and all the risks.
Have the Germans fallen asleep at the wheel? What can they do to hang on to their top spot in the fiercely contested global car market?
If you don't go to China, you will risk the future of the German car industry.
It's a risky bet on China. It's definitely quite a risky development that's taking place at the moment, because car makers, German industry is doubling down on investments in China at the same time that economic and political and also geopolitical risks are increasing, dancing on the razor's edge.
While investing in China is an increasingly risky business for Germany's automakers, it was long a win-win situation for both countries. The Germans were there when China was transforming itself from a nation of bike riders to car drivers. China became the German auto industry's most important market, accounting for some 40% of its total turnover. No other international car-producing country is as dependent on the Chinese market as Germany. It all began with the VW Santana. In 1983, Volkswagen set up a joint venture in Shanghai to build this sedan especially for the Chinese market.
As Volkswagen, we have also contributed to the quality level of our competitors there. With the technology work and outstanding autos we produce for customers, we've left our mark on the market there, though we've certainly helped bring about technological progress in the respective regions too.
应该说呢，都是帮助中国的汽车工业基本上可以说是从零开始进行了一个学习。
也是可以说在过去的20到30年间吧，德国的汽车公司是整个中国汽车行业的一个很好的老师和榜样。
For decades, the Chinese market was dominated by German cars. The burgeoning Chinese auto industry didn't even try to compete and make cars with conventional combustion engines. Instead, for the last 2 decades, China has focused its efforts on electric drives. Government policies and subsidies motivated its industry to build ever better electric cars that have left German EVs in the dust. German automakers have captured just 5% of this rapidly growing market, compared with the roughly 20% market share their fuel-powered models regularly reached.
我想可能也是因为过去的燃油车太成功吧，这个人都会有轻重不同的路径依赖。我们作为一个新公司，我们没有任何可以依赖的路径，也没有任何扔不掉的包袱，所以我们可以轻装前行。
Chinese brands like NIO and BYD profit from the fact that, for years, the Chinese state has pulled out all the stops to make production of e-cars as autonomous as possible, like ensuring a steady supply of the raw materials necessary for the entire EV value chain. Take BYD, which has just snatched VW's crown as China's market leader. It develops innovative batteries and chips as well as electric motors. That's why the Chinese are so far ahead with EVs.
Germany needs to reinvent itself in order to stay competitive internationally. And it will not be the automotive production. Germany cannot compete with all what China has invested.
But German car makers aren't willing to just accept defeat. They haven't given up the fight to become major players in the EV market.
Volkswagen may not always have been the first to bring new technology to market, But when we did introduce it, we did it right and conquered the field. And electromobility is a challenge that we're still working hard on.
German car companies need to better understand Chinese consumer needs in the areas of EVs and develop and validate their products accordingly.
For instance, young Chinese buyers think Volkswagen's electric models are lame as they lack a karaoke app. When it comes to infotainment software, German EVs lag far behind. To better meet the needs of their Asian customers, German automakers are setting up more R&D centers in China and discovering that they now have much to learn.
China has certainly become quite innovative, and German car makers want to tap into that. They want to tap into local know-how when it comes to software development, when it comes to battery development.
The German car industry is dependent on China, not just on sales, but also on technology. It's the biggest risk if you don't go to China. China is the future. We can learn from China. Our departments can learn from China. If you don't do that, we will lose the race.
German car makers seem to have taken this message to heart. VW, Mercedes, and BMW are shelling out more than 5 billion euros to get cooperation agreements with Chinese partners rolling for battery production and the development of self-driving cars and mobility software. Germany's auto industry is doubling its investments in China compared to recent years.
China is the place to be. China is where we are at home.
A targeted long-term strategy or just whistling in the dark?
One of those steps is to make their China operations more autonomous, to kind of create subsidiaries there that are more independent from the rest of the world.
They produce in China for China. This is going to have an immense impact on the German economy.
Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock isn't pleased when jobs and supply chains leave the country for China. The German government is currently in talks about a new China strategy for German businesses.
Should we, as the German government, should we support that? Or should we say, if you want to go there, that's your corporate risk, but we should not give you any investment guarantees to, support that investment, because ultimately you are supporting trends that could hurt the German economy at large.
So, with Chinese competitors biting at their heels, will German car makers have to find their way without government backing? In China's auto industry, more and more foreign managers are now being replaced by Chinese ones. So what's the relationship between German and Chinese automakers like these days?
我想用一个中文的表达来形容它。中国有一个词叫諍友，就是首先大家是朋友，我们在同一个领域互相学习、互相借鉴。
I would definitely say we are more competitors at the moment, and I think China is rolling out the red carpet to those companies that it needs, right? So I think saying we're friends might be oversimplified here, right? I think China is very strategic in its outreach to foreign companies.
Just how much longer will the Chinese need German car companies? And after 4 decades of cooperation, what has the delicate relationship between China and Germany wrought, other than a lucrative source of revenue for Mercedes, Volkswagen, and BMW?
We had the approach of change through trade, and China uses the economic interests of outsiders, of international partners, as a weapon. You always deal with the Communist Party if you are dealing with the automotive institutions, with every investment that you do, also from the automotive industry in China. You are sawing on the branch that you are sitting on your own liberal democratic interests.
Not to mention the looming threat of a military conflict, should China invade neighboring Taiwan.
If that is going to be a highly military-influenced conflict, that probably will bring the industrial cooperation in the automotive sector to a halt.
There's this gamble that the peaceful coexistence is going to continue, that the technology from China can be utilized going forward. You have maybe the French car makers like Stellantis, which has basically said the Chinese market is too risky, we should retreat. And I guess it will be a really interesting case study to see maybe in 10-15 years who was right. So I think it's a risky bet on China.
Still, other major car makers like Stellantis aren't as reliant on China. So the uncertain outlook for doing business there isn't as crucial to their survival. But the future of the German auto industry will be decided in China, where German car makers will have to navigate the fine line between success and failure. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video.